wish we'd pay more attention to, because there's a cost to this. This isn't just an ideological battle where we go, there's no God, there is a God. There are actually human beings who are suffering on the tail end of these conversations. Unfortunately, she still is.
Speaking of which, the suffering part with Raif, again, as Paul says, if the listeners aren't aware of what happened to him, he was actually getting lashes for having a blog.
Yeah, for having a blog.
He was going to have to spend how many years? Yeah, how many years is he going to have to stay in prison? 10?
Yeah, and then the 10,000 lashes, and then the 10-year social media ban as well. So I mean, you think about that. Once he comes out of his prison sentence, for another 10 years, they're going to enforce silence on him because of the threat that he poses.
And he'll never get to leave the country ever.
Right. If no one steps up and helps. So to be able to have that was a highlight. But I also want, for any of your listeners who are curious, to go and check out episode 48. I believe it is. When you've done 116 episodes, it's hard to remember some of them, but I think it was episode 48,
brag.
You were actually part of that. I put out a call, and I asked folks, this is what I'm doing. I've got literally like 72 hours to get this done. Can you please record a message for Raif and Ensaf? I'm going to literally aggregate this into one massive episode, and I'm just going to release it. And dude, even now, thinking about it, I'm getting chills. All the podcasters, all the secularists who came together and just recorded an encouraging message for the two of them to let them know that they weren't alone. There are things that someday, I hope I can say on a microphone to let people know that I have promised that I can't because I don't want to risk anything. But that had an incredible impact. It reverberated around the world, because of, the community coming together and just letting two people know that, hey, we're with you and we're thinking about you. If I stop podcasting tomorrow, stuff like that, man, I can walk away with my head held high, because that was a beautiful thing to watch.
You certainly can. And with that, we're going to go to a few ads, and then we're going to come back to a much more happier era of the Coronify Me / the Q. And with that, let's go to our ads.
Sometimes there's a man. I won't say hero. Well, I won't say man either. More like a sarcastic 2-inch tall Lego minifigure bent on world domination. I'm talking about Lego Darwin.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me on this totally groovy day.
Deadhead Animation presents the internet's #1 most trusted anthropomorphic plastic toy.
I mean, some guy wrote that in a forum on the internet, so it must be true, right?
Lego Darwin as Lego Darwin in Lego Darwin.
They care nothing about the dangerous health effects on people living near these towers of doom.
Bringing you everything you need to know about the news, politics, and the world today, all while sporting one of the damn finest beards I've ever seen.
All I have to do is plug in this cable and we can send Marty back to the future.
Oh. Deadhead Animation presents Lego Darwin. New episodes every week right here on Deadhead Animation. Taking the piss out of everything.
And we're back. Paul, can you believe that Mitch McConnell actually has a fluorescent pink butt plug company, that he's actually endorsing those?
I can't believe Mitch McConnell's even relevant to anything.
Well, I was hearing him talking about the Supreme Court nominees and all that kind of stuff, but just to hear that radio ad saying that, he has a company with fluorescent pink butt plugs, wow, he's really progressive.
It makes you think, doesn't it? It makes you think.
Yes, it does. It really does make you think. With that, so after all of those poignant things, you decided that you wanted to shift gears and rebrand Coronify Me as the Q, as you're going to explain to us everything that you want to talk about for it. So tell us about the Q and the way it happened.
Well, with the Q, it was really about, here's the thing, I'm going to be, because I love you, Jonathan, you're a good guy, you've always been good to me, I'm going to be very real, very candid with you. Mm-hmm. There's a point to skepticism, there's a point to us having a voice as skeptics, as a secular community. And then there's the point where, and this goes to everybody, when the scales start tipping, and we need to be cognizant of that, and we need to pull back a little bit. We need to change. So as I was going through Quranify Me, again with the Quran and talking to ex-Muslims and hearing their stories and all their struggles, it was very real, very heavy. But I was also watching the landscape between bloggers, YouTubers, and podcasters, and I saw how toxic we were becoming as a community. And I know somebody's going to latch onto that term and want to fight me on the fact or the non-fact that we're a community.
Yeah, let's not do that, listeners. Let's just not.
When I say community, I'm thinking of a collection of people who have a common goal. And as secularists, I think we all can agree that we have a common goal that, at least if nothing else, we don't want religion in our governance. So I'm going to stick to that because that's convenient for my argument. But I saw that we were becoming toxic, and I didn't want to be part of that anymore. I questioned why we were all saying the same thing. We were all covering the same news. We were all laughing and pointing at Christians and going, ha ha, like the kid on Simpsons. And I'm not at that point in my life. There's nothing attractive about that. There's nothing healthy about that. And I argue there's nothing progressive about that. We're not going to solve any problems by doing that. I needed to be the change that I wanted to see. So all of those things together, I realized it's time to kill the Q. I had struggled with it for a couple months, and all of these things came together, and I realized, nope, I've got to do it. Nobody else is going to do it. I feel, I could be wrong, but nobody else is going to do it. I'm going to do it. So the Q switched. I'm still once in a while covering the Quran. I get crap from my listeners all the time because I don't do it enough. It's been like 13 episodes since I've done one. But now,
yeah,
I know. But now I'm trying to focus on positive humanism. If I've left one legacy with Quranify Me, I want to leave another one with a Q. I want to reach out to people, kind of like what you have tried to do in your own shows as well. Reach out to the other side. Let's start having conversations. Let's start progressing together.
You decided you were going to be the change you wanted to see in the world, and how that it evolved into the new format as the Q.
Yeah, and that's what I really wanted to do with it, is I wanted to actually manifest that ideology. I wanted to show through my own behaviors that we can be secularists, we can be skeptics, we can be atheists, and we can do it in a productive, progressive way. We can reach out to those folks like you yourself did in your own show that we may not necessarily align or agree with. For me, I wanted to do it on a more positive bent. I needed that. I needed more positivity. There's only so many times. I mean, I was the guy that would consume atheist podcasts while I was making my own. I'd have my iTunes queue was full of atheist podcasts. Now I have one. That's it. One left. I just cannot do it anymore. It's an echo chamber, and it's not, and somebody's going to probably get so upset about this, but it's just not progressive, and it's not healthy. You may think it is because, I need to find kindred spirits. I need to have other people who think like me. Yeah, you do. But if that's all you surround yourself with, you're not going anywhere. You're stagnant. You're staying right where you are. And the Q was going to be a deliberate attempt by me to shake that. And I've got to say, it's been frustrating, but little by little, I've been able to reach out to folks who are giving me chances to cover things like in episode 115 that I just did, Tiny Houses, which is a very humanistic effort in Los Angeles to house the homeless. They've got a huge homeless crisis there, and there are great people doing great things for other people, and I don't give a damn about their religious or non-religious affiliation. We're just going to focus on that, because I'll tell you what, that's the stuff that's going to change the world, not us fighting whether or not there's a God. That's not going to change a damn thing.
With that, make sure that you send Chris or myself the links to Tiny Houses, so that way we can add it in the show notes.
I'm writing my note down now.
That really was okay. And also, just you gave us I'm sure the listeners are still hanging on. Just go back 30 seconds, figure out what episode it was. It's not a long episode, so you're not investing a lot of time in it. But there's That was a really good episode. That is what Paul's trying to do in the realm of positive humanism.
Yeah, and there's a couple more I've got. One of the struggles that will definitely be interesting to your listeners is one of the struggles that I found out, because I don't do anything easy. With the ex-Muslims, I asked these folks who have to be safe that they will open up their lives to, like I said, a Western white male, ex-military, ex-Christian. So, right, that was Quranify me. With the Q, I haven't done myself any favors because, unfortunately, what I'm finding is the people that I'm reaching out to have these conversations, these chats, a lot of them are believers, and when they, do a little bit of research on the show that's asking them to come on air, and they're seeing that it's an atheist show or a secular show, I don't want to say it's a struggle, that's a little hyperbolic, but it is interesting that I'm meeting a little bit of resistance on that, unfortunately. And again, I'm going to go back to the fact that because I always believe in doing the mirror check before I want to throw mud at people, that we could do a better job of reaching out to the other side, and then things like this wouldn't be so much of an issue.
Yeah, and that's one of the premises of this show is I don't mind. I know it's called Secular Stories, but I don't mind if a true believer comes on the air as long as they want to have a calm discussion. By all means, all comers are welcome. It doesn't bother me one bit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's a beautiful thing to do. Unfortunately, there aren't enough people out there doing it on our side, and I think we could do better on that.
Well, I've got some things in the works for me, and I may need to reach out with you, maybe get some of your contacts, especially with some of the people that are more reasonable in the realm of like Islam. I can't remember what was the imam's name.
Imam Abdullah Da'i, great guy. What a great guy he was.
Great guy. Yeah, he was just awesome.
Do you know how much feedback I got on that from my dedicated listeners at that time, who would say things along the lines of, I'm not interested in that episode. It's great that you tried, but I don't care to listen because I don't want to hear what he has to say. How sad, how damning of a statement is that for our side of the fence, that we don't even care to listen to what this man has to say because he's not one of us.
And the bad thing is, he was funny, engaging.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what, if he wasn't an imam, I'd go out with him for beers any day of the week.
Oh, yeah. He was just cool. He was just a good person. And that's something that I think a lot of people, like you were saying, that get wrapped up in the echo chamber, that they forget that there are actually good people in religion. And they forget that there are bad people in atheism.
Right.
I just lose sight of that. But guess what? That's called being human. It's a spectrum.
Exactly.
All right. Now, I gotta ask you this because I still don't get it. Why do you like sportsing balls so much? Soccer stuff?
It's beautiful. Here's the thing. We all need our decompression and our escapism. Now, dorks like to go do Star Trek and Star Wars, right? Hey, I did that on purpose. Hey. Did you see how I loaded that?
Yeah. Asshole. Uh-huh.
But
watch out.
Seriously, we all have our own escapism that we need. Mine is soccer, but hey, it's not my fault. It's because I served my country. I'm blaming it entirely on the U.S. military. I hated soccer growing up. Absolutely. I grew up in farm country. We didn't do soccer. We didn't even have a boys soccer team in high school. But the military.
You said the
military.
It's the Air Force. Come on.
We wore uniforms. Thank you very much. We deployed. We had rank on our sleeves and on our epaulets.
Yeah, unfortunately, you outranked me by quite a bit. So.
Well, that's, hey, I've got to admit, I had a great mentor. My wife will have conversations with me from time to time because we're still trying to figure out why she's a Christian. But I'll tell you what, going back to your point that you just said, about having good people on both sides, bad people on both sides. She's a believer, and that woman changed my life. If she hadn't invested in me like she did, I wouldn't have done what I did in the military or be where I am today when I look at the world through that prism, through that filter, if you will. She opened my eyes up to a lot of things. So absolutely beautiful people. But yeah, so the military sent me to Germany, and it was in Germany that I met some Germans, and they insisted I go to a soccer game with them. And because an engager, for anybody who's ever taken True Colors personality assessment, I am an orange, so I'm spontaneous, I'm an engager, I'm active, and I went to a soccer game where we drank beer, we stood the entire 2 hours of the game, not